All right, folks, I'm going to talk a little bit about guitars and gear. I assume there's a few guitarists here and their wives. And there are also probably all sorts of little kids and stuff here that are going to be interested in hearing this. So how does Adrian get his tone? Well, it's easy. I've got a Marshall half stack behind me. That's usually a good start. Today it's set on a clean mode there. So generally, I like to have as you can tell maybe, a mid-range that kind of cuts through. And not a lot of low end, not a lot of high end. I find that especially if you're playing with a great band or great drummer and all the other stuff, that you kind of need to find your own little space amongst the sort of the landscape of the music. So I find that, man, all those cymbals are going to be covering that high end. The bass player's got the low end. Maybe I'm going to fight a little bit with a singer. Not today. And so that's kind of what I end up doing. So I set that thing a bit flat, even though I turned the bass and treble down a little bit. And then on the floor here is kind of my flyaway gig tone. And what I've got is a Seymour Duncan Palladium pedal, which is a relatively new pedal in the last couple of years, if anybody's familiar with this thing. It's a gain stage preamp, they call it. And it's got 3-band EQ with a parametric mid, all the distortion you'll ever need. Presence, resonance, but also a boost switch. So like any kind of pickup booster or a preamp boost pedal, very similar to one of those. So if I ever need just a little bit more volume, I get it out of there. And then you're hearing some echo, an MXR carbon copy. We've all seen those. And that's like it. I'm a very basic guy. I hate trying to find pedals and buttons and stuff in the middle of that kind of playing. So I kind of set it and forget it. This wild-looking guitar that you see here, I've had this for a number of years. If anybody remembers Brian Moore Guitars out of New York, they are still around. They go by Brian Moore Custom Shop, but also iGuitar Workshop. And this is the Adrian Galysh signature model. And I designed this. Granted, their bodies and the look of their overall look of the guitars are all very similar. They've got sort of this arch shape to it. There's a place for your strap for your cable to go under the strap in the back. But this is a spalted maple top. And if anybody's familiar with what a spalted maple top is, it's a piece of maple with a bunch of disease going through it. It's all the black lines is dying and decaying wood, which is pretty darn cool. Now, I told them I want a satin finish on this because I hate cleaning and polishing guitars. And so they made that. However, it's a very soft wood, and you can see where I tend to pick a lot. There's some pitting and stuff like that. So this thing gets a lot of work. It gives me a lot of tones, too. It has a super switch, which is a 5-way switch. So in the first position, I get a humbucker. Second position, it splits it into just a single coil. In the middle position, I get 2 single coils, like a Telecaster. Next position, single coil, and then humbucker. And then if I pull this tone knob out, it turns the humbucker back on. So I get sort of tele sounds, strat sounds, and of course, any kind of Les Paul combination of pickups right then and there.